Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech Down Over. I'm Rick Zanotti. I'm joined today by my good friend and co-host. He's the down guy, down under, Melbourne, Australia, Jeff Blanchard. Hey, Jeff, how are you today?
Good morning, Rick. Good. Thank you very much.
It's your good morning and my afternoon.
Second day of fall for us, or autumn, as we call it. So.
That already? Oh, that's early because we're doing our first day in the 21st or 22nd. So we're a little bit off on the seasons from you.
Yeah, well, we go into the seasons, but you wouldn't know it for the next month. It's still going to be very hot in the next week.
You know us. We're in beautiful, sunny Southern California, warm. We've been in the 30s most of the last 2 weeks in the morning, and in about the 50s or maybe 60 during the day, Fahrenheit. And today we're raining. Go figure.
So that's freezing.
It's cold, but it's not. It's just cool outside. It's not cold today. It's just
heat wave.
Very strange weather. So anyway, well, a couple of things happened this week, Jeff. Oh, by the way, we've got Harold with us right now too. Harold, you want to join the fray?
Hey, everyone.
And now let's do our intro. Here we go. We're back. And here's the camera I was holding while flying through the water. So anyway.
It took me a while to figure out that you had a camera on there and I was holding a microphone. I thought it was good just us surfing there, but I didn't realize I had a microphone and you had a camera. So.
That's right. And if you're wondering who created that, Harold, right next to me.
Did very well. You very well
way, aren't I?
Well, that's
Harold right there.
I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Everything's upside down when you have video cameras all inverting, whatever. So anyway, well, hey, Jeff, this has been a big week for cameras. Canon
Certainly.
announced an amazing camera. It's just mind-boggling. A 4K camera in a little body with an APS-C sensor. Can you believe it?
More sarcastic.
I am being sarcastic, sorry. I mean, it's got like maybe 50 focus points. I don't know. Maybe it's got more. But it's amazing. And not only that, it has dual pixel autofocus, but it only works when you're not in 4K mode. So Canon once again has done it again. They have vanquished themselves. They come out with something that gets people excited. And when you read the actual specs, you go, what? Huh? What? Well, no, they couldn't have. They did. No, they did. They really did. They blew it. Yeah. Okay. Here we go again. They have an articulating screen on it. How cool is that? They have nice 1080p in dual pixel focus mode. They can do dual pixel in 1080, but in 4K, where you only have 24 or 25 p. Sorry, you only get phase detect. Meaning, I'm sorry, not phase, contrast detect. Def by defocus, meaning you get a Panasonic, which can't focus that well. Is that smart or what? I think it's brilliant. What do you think?
Well, to me, the thing is with Canon, they do excellent bodies. The cameras are really good.
Mm-hmm.
But there seems to be the firmware seems to mess them up. But
I think their management messes them up.
You just can't complain about the ergonomics of the camera and the build cameras, and it's excellent.
Yeah,
but why do they keep stabbing themselves? They just keep hurting themselves with because people want.
I personally think they have I think they have a harakiri fetish. They're trying to kill themselves off slowly and surely. I don't get it. I mean, all they're doing is losing market share more and more every year, and they just don't get it. No, we're going to hold back on all of the features except for the big cameras, while every other vendor is giving you everything at the low end all the way to the high end, and you just go, wow. Sony announced a camera that just basically killed everyone else in the span of about 1 hour. They announced the Sony A7 Mark III. The A7 III. Now, what makes this special? What makes it different? Well, it looks exactly like this. You want to switch back to this shot? So this is the A7R III. I've got the 100 millimeter G lens on it. It's a beautiful lens, but with the battery grip, it looks like a bigger type camera. It's a little heavier, but this is not a very large camera. It's very small in the hand, but when you put the battery grip, now it feels more like a bigger camera. But still, it's not that heavy as let's say a Canon or a Nikon. Neither is the lens as big. But it looks almost exactly the same. It's the same body. They have the new Z battery, which gives you about 3 to 5 hours of shooting time. These batteries are amazing. They're as good as the Panasonic batteries. So again, now they have good batteries where they had awful batteries before. So Sony listened. They listened to the user community who said, we hate your batteries. And they were right. They were lousy batteries. So they have good batteries now. They got the battery grip. They've got some really nice features. Now, Jeff, who do you think... Because people are confused. There's an A7 III, which is now a 24 megapixel camera, just like the A9, 24 megapixels. But it's even weirder. Sony put the full G9 focus system on the A7 III. That is a gorgeous system. It's probably the best focus on the planet right now. Nobody comes close, including Canon. It's amazing. It's such a good fast focus with 693 focus points. 693. You know, Canon usually gives you like 49, 50, 51. That's about it. But they'll tell, well, some of them are crossed though, so they're even better. But 693, 93% of the screen is now available for focus. And we've done tests. You can get right in that edge and you're focused. You know, with Canon, most of their cameras are pretty much middle focus centric. So you don't really get much on the, you get about maybe 2/3 of a sensor, if even that much. And then the rest is all pretty blurry on the sides. So they do that. The full G9, $4,500 camera. And, oh, we didn't say, the A7 III is only $2,000 versus $4,500. And you get the same focus system, 24 megapixel, same sensor, backlit sensor, which gives you, get this, 15 stops of a dynamic range. That's a lot of dynamic range. That's I think Canon's highest one goes 13, and I think that's like the 1DX or something like that. That's a lot of dynamic range. Meaning your blacks, your shadows are going to come out so nicely. There's going to be so much detail on everything you do. You got 4K. It's only, I think, a 30-minute shoot, but hey, still 4K with all the features, all the functionality, and you have what they call clear image. So if you have a prime lens like this one, you can now turn on clear image, and at the touch of a button, you could zoom in with a prime lens and make it look totally as if you've got a zoom on. Now that's pretty cool. I was watching some of the demos of it, and it looks clean. It's not like the old, you could do electronic zooming, and it's like, hey, I'm at 1,000%, and you can't even recognize humans on the screen anymore. So this is actually pretty amazing. So Jeff, who do you think would get? Let's look at these. Who do you think would get an A7R III versus an A7 III?
Well, I'll just start by saying it's as though Sony's been tapping my phone or listening to or watching all of our podcasts and saying, Jeff's been looking at the Panasonic GH5. He likes the camera. He's a bit unsure about the autofocus, but he wants something a bit different. He doesn't want a micro four thirds to go to another micro four thirds. Right. He wants a full frame camera, but he wants great autofocus. He wants to have that great screen on it, a camera that goes a long time, but he wants something different. But he doesn't want to pay $7,000 that he paid, that it will cost me here for an A7R Mark III. And he doesn't really need 42 megapixels on the still. 24 is more than good enough. Yep. So now comes out the A7
III.
R3.
No, just A7 III. Just A7 III.
That's another thing. I can say, but A7 III, that's what I keep thinking, because all the other ones have to, is it an R or an S? Right. Now I can have to worry about. But then they bring out the A7 III, and it's got the better focus than the A7R3. And so it's even better. And it, for me, even here, it probably work out, I think, with a decent lens, about $3,500.
Yeah. And by the way, you know what? You don't have to buy a Sony lens either. There's some beautiful lenses from Tamron, Sigma, with E-mount, native E-mounts. So, for example, the Tamron 24-70 is one of my favorite lenses. It is, I think this is going to be a 20-75 for Sony. I had the 24-70 when I was shooting Nikon. Oh my gosh, that lens is beautiful. and it was like a $900 lens versus $2,000 for the Sony version, and it's just as good. It is a beautiful lens. So that's the next lens I'm going to get is the 24 to 70 because I don't have that particular range as a zoom, and it's going to be a beautiful lens for probably under $1,000 with a native E mount. So you don't need a converter.
So with that in mind, with that sort of pricing, and to me, if that's the case, because what it looks like it will be about that 3.5, it's about the same price here as I probably would get for a GH5.
Right.
So it's
right.
not a difference in that price. So it's the sort of one I tell you. I think I said in a message I sent you, if it was there in the shops today, I'd go out and buy it because I want it. I don't want anything to change my mind, but all those features and all those things I can see on it, I can't see as it would be a bad decision. And plus, I would go for one of the native lens first because I want to get one so it shows off all the best features.
Right.
Because I what's it, 24 to 105 full Canon one that should fit on it as well. I think, but might not be as good as theirs, but it seems to tick all the boxes. And I've been watching.
Oh, I have the 24 to 105. It's a beauty. It's got. It's not the one I have on this. This is the 100 millimeter, but the 24 to 105 has a little zoom switch right on it. So you can just zoom in and out like you have a camcorder right on the lens. It is a lovely lens. It's sharp. It's clean. It can zoom in pretty far. It's absolutely beautiful. So, and it will work. All Sony lenses will work on their APS-C cameras and their full frames. So you're not limited.
And the thing is with me, like you said, one of the limitations from the Panasonic is you can only do the 29-minute filming, but who cares? I said most of the time when you're with these cameras, you don't need more than that. And hey, if I need to film for an hour or 2 hours, I've got the Canon camcorder, the HD, more than enough. Because if you're filming for something for 2 hours, it's not top quality stuff, really, is it?
No, and it's not going to fit on your cards because it's too big. If you're doing 4K.
When you're doing that, and so it's going to be B footage or something like that to just so you don't miss something. But it's like filming a ceremony or something like that, where if you've got, but even HD, that's perfectly good enough. But most of the times you've got options. If you're filming even a ceremony, just to start and stop it every 30 minutes, there's going to be some sort of gap in the so we can start and stop.
Yeah.
And that from seeing all these professionals getting it, they obviously don't have a problem with that. I was watching Jason Lanier's videos.
He did a great one on it, didn't he?
He did, because he's had this for a few weeks pre-release.
3 weeks already. Yep.
So he could show the advantages and just the quality of it. And I think I've said before, I'm just blown away with the Sony video quality. Was one with Jason he said he was in Fremont Street in Las Vegas.
Did you see that in the alley?
Yeah, for some reason they got thrown out of there for some. He said he got into trouble. I'd like to find out what he got into trouble for. But then he's down in an alley, and I thought, I'm getting frightened for him. I know it's doing a shot, but I thought it's going to all of a sudden fall on the floor when somebody hits him over the head and steals his lovely camera. I hope he had security with him behind the camera.
Yeah, but you notice what he did. He put the gain up to 102,000.
Yes.
And then he he upped the aperture, and all of a sudden it looked great.
And even at that highest one, some of these ones, when you do high, you get it bright, but it's so noisy. But most of those images look usable. I was quite amazed at, and when he cut it down, it is such a low light camera compared to like the A7R, A7S3, which is supposed to be the real.
If it comes out, because right now the A7 III pretty much kind of takes over for the A7S.
And I think that's exactly what I was going to say. Why would you bother? Because if I'm paying that sort of money, I'd want the 42 megapixel, not just the 24. When I'm paying the same.
Exactly. Because
A7 III.
Yeah, because at the 12 megapixel, you really lose the people who want photos and video.
Whereas and Jay, like most of them saying that 24 megapixels is a sweet point for most photography. You don't, unless you're doing 50-foot billboards, you don't need more than that to get an excellent. So they said that's really 24 megapixels is excellent for doing your still shots. But I'm sold. And as I said, if I could go to the shops today to get one, I would.
Yeah, it'll be out. I think April 18th is the official release date. It's impressive. And again, they said it's a low light monster. It'll do pretty much what the A7S2 will do right now, but even better. It really showed the differences between, for example, actually, Max Yuryev. Have you seen his video? He did a comparison of the A7 III, the A7R III, the A6500, which, by the way, takes beautiful video, and the GH5. And it was sad to see the GH5 just die. It just died. It totally died. When they went to the low light test, at 6500, the GH5 had a blurry face. There was nothing left. And the other one was at 50-something thousand and 100,000. You could still see his face clearly. It's amazing. And for the price, a $2,000 camera like this that can get you that kind of low light against, a really good video camera like the GH5, which can't focus. Wow. There's not much of a choice yet. You can't focus. And did I tell you I'm probably going to sell my GH5s?
Yes, I saw that, and I thought you probably would after that, because when you see it's a full frame camera as opposed to a micro four thirds,
there's no comparison.
No comparison, but the GH5 does a great job. But hopefully, if that makes a GH5 drop $1,000, that'll even make that even a more attractive one, because its main downfall is that focus.
Well, you could buy one of mine, and it comes with guaranteed no good focus.
As it said, that's about the only thing. That one, I don't know if you saw that Jason Lanier one with the eye detection.
Yes, you saw how far she went.
Yeah, he said, "Now keep walking," and she got about, I don't know, would it be about 30 feet away from
I think
the
she was
camera?
maybe a little bit more, because
I
think she might have been up to 40 feet. It looked far.
He took a selfie of him and the camera and where she was.
Yeah.
So to give a perspective of the distance.
He actually looked surprised, because he goes, "Holy cow, it's still going." Because usually what we found on the ones we have at about 20 feet, you lose the focus.
And you don't expect any more than that. You only expect it for people in the vicinity of the camera, close to the camera.
Yep.
You wouldn't expect it to do it even 10 feet more. But for the way it's doing, to me that proves how well it's doing the focus, and it's keeping on that person rather than looking everywhere else. So it's concentrating on that person. Yeah,
and there's one thing that when Harold and I were doing some testing, and then in some of the stuff we've read afterwards, with the Yao or whatever his name is, on his hack, it only works sometimes. It doesn't work all the time. And there are issues with inconsistency. No matter how well it works for maybe 5 minutes, you may get a minute of total blur. And I've seen it literally where I'm shooting something, all of a sudden I come back to it, it's 100%, the whole shot's blurry, and you go, oh.
But the thing is, if you need to do this to get the autofocus, do that, well, you might as well manual focus, hadn't you? Because you're going to risk it. And who's got the time to change this setting, change that? Oh, then it works on it, then you change it again.
Also, there's another feature that the Sonys have, which is the S&Q, slow and quick. So they can take videos in slow motion and quick motion at the press of a button. So you're in the middle of a video, then you want to go fast, you just press the button. Now you're going fast. You want to go slow, you just press the slow button. And that is really nice for just you want to create an effect without having to stop, set up all your parameters and go. So it just
I did have to laugh with Hugh's reviews. It says, does it have a better and more intuitive menu system? No, it has the same horrible one that it's got.
Well, no, it doesn't. It has the newer one, which isn't as bad. It still is deep. I mean, it's deep. There's a million options. But I mean,
but it is said they still have that little criticism that even in the A7R Mark III, that have improved it from the earlier one, but they could have gone that extra stage. But it's the same one, so it said you're not getting an improved one.
I don't find it too hard. I don't find it any harder than the Panasonic or the Canon. I used to. I think now it's almost on a par. Canon's kind of going backwards a little bit. They're starting to do weirder menus. They're not as clean as they used to be. And one other problem that they have, Canon is now doing, Olympus type menus. They're very small fonts, and you can't change them like you used to. So it's a little hard to read. If you're out in the sun and you're trying to see those, good luck. It's small. Fujifilm, same thing. You have really teeny, and Fuji worse. They do all caps. Caps are not good for reading. They're good for pointing out big words. So now you can't read it that well. You're out in the sun. Good luck in reading it. So they're not thinking these things through. And I don't know. I think right now, and I've been a real big Sony basher for years, and now I'm impressed. They've made quite a few changes that got me interested. That's something.
This is going to. I think this will put them ahead for this, because it just seems to tick all the boxes. All those people who were undecided like me, who really don't think that worth getting that 6,000,
right,
but they'll say, I'll get this. It's not that much more than the next one down, and you think, why don't I get that? And all the people like me who've been looking at the Panasonic who said, well, that's a full frame. It's something really different.
Yeah.
Focus is great, and the video quality it's just beautiful what you see on that, how the detail in it as well.
You know what you need to do, Jeff? You need to fly out back to Camarillo and play with the cameras for a couple of weeks with me.
Yes, that's right.
And then go back and buy one or two.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I was just saying, we were saying about menus. I've got my old 60D here, and I picked that up I haven't looked at it for ages, and I forgot how to use most of the features on that in the menus. So it's what you get used to as well,
right,
isn't it?
Right.
If you've been used to a Panasonic for weeks, that's the best one. But it's like you said, the Sony's not too bad. A lot of them are not that intuitive.
No.
But the people who are using them, you don't need that. You're going to go into those sort of things. It's not the sort of camera people buy they'll say, oh, how do you do, if they're going to do that, they'll buy something that's fully auto that they never change any of the settings. So
also, if you think about it, how often do you really need to go into, when I'm doing shooting, I rarely go into the menu. You're using really your dials, your aperture, your ISO, your shutter, and that's pretty much the majority of what you're changing. And the rest is if you want some arcane functions or something that you just want to change because it's not the way you want it. But you don't have to go in that often, usually.
Well, and also most cameras now also have their custom menus. So the options that you need to get to once in a while, you can just fill out your custom menu with that, and you don't have to go exploring too much unless you're doing something that you haven't really done in a shoot before.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, even the Canons and that, even my old this one here, it's still got that custom menu. So you put the half a dozen things that you're always searching for that get there straight away. And like Hugh was saying, there's a couple of programmable buttons, and once you figure out and set them to that's all it is. You get them set up to what you want, and away you go. So I'm getting really excited about this one. I think it's one you will see me actually getting.
You can't see this too well probably, but this has the custom menu at the end, so you could add quite a bit of stuff to that custom menu, and it makes it pretty easy.
Will the handle grip be the same? Do you think?
I believe it's the same battery grip.
It should be. It's the same body size.
Which is the same one that goes to the G9, the A7. I'm sorry, A9, A7R3, and now the new one. So they all have the same grip. So that'll be nice. And the Z battery, which is just great. It's a really nice battery. And I'll tell you, even the A6500, which I have, also is just a great camera. It's a nice APS-C sensor camera. It shoots beautiful video, and it takes actually really nice, sharp pictures. I'm just amazed at how good that is for a small camera like that. It's great. And it's about the same size as this, not much different, a little bit smaller. And I bought a battery grip for it, so you can get battery grips for that one. And it's comfy.
And I've seen the A6500, and it does excellent quality, doesn't it? And I saw one ages ago that they did a filming one, and the autofocus on it, and I was just watching it. Like a lot of the Panasonics, you say that you can see them hunting, going in and out.
Oh, right.
It didn't move, but then when somebody moved in an area, it went in.
Yeah.
They moved out, it went back.
Yeah.
And I was amazed at how well it focused and how clear. And it was very low light. There wasn't much light there, so it was very difficult for it to see what it needed to be in focus. But it did an excellent job. So
yeah,
I think we're on a winner with this new one as well, because it will encourage people to explore some of their other lines as well.
And as much as I like Micro Four Thirds because it's smaller, it has really fast lenses, it's good. It's just not a full frame camera or even an APS-C. The sensor is smaller. You can make some equivalences with it, but you just lose some of the capabilities like low light and things like that. No matter what they do, it's not quite 100% as good. And noise creeps up pretty quickly. Like I said, in a Panasonic at 6500, you're pretty much done. And these things at 50,000, you're going, hey, not bad. That's not bad at all. So anyway, we'll have a link on our show notes below. If you want to buy one from Amazon and you want to help support the show, hey, we've got an Amazon affiliate link. So what the heck, if it even happens. But anyway, go there, take a look, buy one, and buy two. You get a discount, I think, if you buy two. And maybe you don't. But
now, Rick, what would you say with that one would be if you're going to buy a native lens, one of the not the Panasonic, the Sony lenses, which one would you say would be a good all-rounder that you would get first off with that?
If I would get two. I would get that, I think, 24 to 105, because that's your zoom right there. It's got a beautiful zoom. I would say the 70 to 200, but it's a little bit bigger, so now it's a little heavier to carry. But the 7200, the 24 to 105 is not that big. Beautiful lens. The other one I would probably get is something like the 55 millimeter Sony. It's a beautiful lens. If you have the money, get a 35 millimeter. It's gorgeous. That's about a $1,500 lens, but it is gorgeous. The 55 is really a nice, clean lens for portraits, for anything. It's just a beautiful prime. They have a cheaper 50 millimeter, which actually is really good. It's only about $300-400, but it is a great lens. So I would get at least one prime and get one zoom to start. Or like I said, get that Tamron 24 to 75 or 20 to 75, because that'll give you pretty much the wide all the way to a nice zoom kind of lens for, I think, like under $1,000. So that won't be too bad.
Do the Sonys have a 24 to 70?
They do. I think it's a 24 to 70. I think it's close to $2,000. It's 1700. It's a beautiful lens, but it's not cheap.
No, because what I would probably want something similar to that, or let's say the 24 to 105, and then something nice and smaller. So when I get my DJI, what was it, the Ronin, when that comes out, something smaller to put on that, because you don't want a whopping great big lens when you're on one of those stabilizers. No,
because that's going to be real heavy. And they have some really nice primes that aren't very heavy, and they're fast. They're quiet. Like the 35 millimeters, a gorgeous lens, one of the best lenses in the industry. It's about $1,500. It's not cheap, but it's really pretty. It's not large either, not huge. So they have a lot of choices. Getting something like this, the 100 millimeter, is a beautiful lens. This blurs backgrounds like you wouldn't believe. It's built to blur backgrounds on purpose. It has a special coating to make it even better, but it's heavier. You are going to be carrying something a little. It's like a mini zoom, if you could see it here. So that's almost like a mini zoom. It's pretty big. It doesn't weigh that much, but there is a weight to it. And don't forget to get your strap.
Oh, of course, you got to
have one of these, or get one of the Black Rapid shoulder straps. Those are nice. Now they have orange and stuff. They're really easy to spot, and they grip, whereas before they didn't.
I said all my lenses have good out of focus things, but everything's out of focus, so that's the problem with my lens.
I was just informed. I was just informed by Harold that we are at the end of our time. We're trying to keep our shows down a half hour now so we get better SEO from Google. It doesn't always work, but what the heck, we'll try. So anyway, well, Jeff, you or I cannot buy that camera until somewhere in April 18th. And but yeah, I think you're right. That's a camera that I know, like Max Yuryev said he's getting two of them because he does a lot of weddings and stuff, because it's the perfect wedding camera. It's absolutely perfect. So it's
and for
good.
the price, you can get two for the price of one.
Of one A9. I mean, that's amazing. So unfortunately, Sony gave Panasonic just a stab in the heart this week because they really can't compete with these. There's not a lot of competition there. It's not even close.
Well, Panasonic had their 10 when they released the GH5, which they did the same thing. It had a lot of people interested, even with the focus. It still is a darn good camera.
It is. It's a beautiful camera, but the focus, unfortunately, makes people like me and others very nervous. I did
And
one
that-
shoot. I got
that
lucky.
was excellent anyway.
Yeah, and if you're going to do a photo shoot like interviews, make sure there's not much in the background. Then the camera will maybe, not always, may not get distracted.
You can't afford to risk that, can you?
Yep,
So-
no, because you can. We've done some shoots where that could have killed us. And so, yeah, we don't want to do that. That's risky. But anyway, well,
Okay.
Jeff, good seeing you again. And we will be on again next week. And then Gina Schreck will be on, I think, at the end of March. So looking forward to having her back on, our good friend Gina. So that'll be good. Well, Jeff, I'll see you next week. And for all you people watching, have a good one. Harold, same to you. He's disappeared now. He'll be back shortly. There he is. And we will see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.